5 isekai manga that aren't complete trash. Let's go. The first manga that I have for you guys is Heaven Sent Apocalypse and the Saintess of the Labyrinth. This is a very unique isekai manga because it has multiple different isekai perspectives. You have our main character, who in his world, it's very fantasy-esque. You have monsters, you have labyrinths. It would be your typical isekai world, minus like the levels and the game-esque elements. And due to our main character being an orphan, once he reaches a certain age, he has an obligation that he must fulfill. And that obligation kind of involves him being isekai'd into this labyrinth city with other orphans. And while that's going on, your typical classroom isekai is also happening at the same time. So all these people get isekai'd into this labyrinth city with a mission from God. And in this manga, God's kind of like a little douchebag. He really is just doing all this because he finds it very, very entertaining. But the cool thing about this manga is it implements firearms, magic, there's tanks at one point, tons of guns, and a bunch of different ways to fight. And since our main character is already from like a fantasy-esque world, he kind of fits right in with this new world, while all of your other typical isekai people don't really fit in right away. So like I said, it's a very unique take on the isekai genre. It's getting to see 2 different perspectives of isekais. Someone coming from a world that's very, very similar to this new one, but getting introduced to tons of new weapons, while you also have people bringing their weapons into a world that they are completely unfamiliar with. Definitely a good isekai manga. Check it out, Heaven Sent Apocalypse and the Saintess of the Labyrinth. The next manga that I have for you guys is Fantasy Gourmet. Now this is a slice of life manga, so if you were wanting more of an action-packed adventurer, this one might not be for you. If you're wanting something more chill, this is probably for you. The thing that I like most about this manga is the fantasy world that it creates. It is beautiful, and it's one of my favorites, to be completely honest with you. I love it. But our main character gets isekai'd into this new world, and he is the only human. This new world is filled with like beastmen, fairies, goblin, ghouls, demons, all your typical isekai beings, but humans. So our main character decides to use his knowledge from his previous world to his advantage, and he ends up getting found by a noble, and they end up like teaming up, forming the ultimate bromance. And from then on out, the story just kind of progresses with our main character getting assigned tasks and fulfilling them out. And all while he's doing that, he is accompanied by a beast maid who they slowly start to develop feelings for one another. I wouldn't say romance is a huge part of this, like it kind of slowly develops, but it still is definitely there. Now, the thing that this manga like really wants to focus on is the food. I'm not really a huge fan of like when manga like go out of their way to like describe food and spend like an entire chapter dedicated to the main characters eating it. So I will warn you that that is definitely a huge part of this manga, but I think the fantasy world that it creates and the story that it does tell is definitely worth it. So if you want more of a slice of life with a guy traversing the world with his cute maid eating delicious foods, then definitely check this one out. The next manga that I have for you guys is definitely one of the best isekai mangas that I've ever read. It is called Make Way, Meiou-sama Coming Through. Our main character in his previous life had a very serious illness, and every day he was just hoping and praying that he would not meet death's door. Well, that day finally came and he was isekai'd into this new world, but as a ghost. And because he's a ghost, he can use an ability called Absorb, where he would basically absorb the life force of other beings. And he would traverse the forest using this ability, getting stronger and stronger day by day, until he started meeting actual humans. And of course, in this fantasy world, humans always attack things that they're scared of, like ghosts, goblins, ghouls, and other things. So naturally, these students from an academy start to attack him, and he holds nothing back. He has no interest in dying again whatsoever. He does not want to go through that at all. So if anybody at all poses a threat to his life, he's gonna kill them. And these students were a prime example of that. All he wants to do in this new world is just live his life. But because he keeps getting attacked by humans, he has to keep getting stronger and stronger. And because of the previous life that he had and all the knowledge that he knew about science and everything, he's able to use that knowledge to further his abilities and magic in this new world. And from then on, he ends up hiding himself in the forest as a human and ends up taking on an apprentice that he ends up teaching magic to. I don't want to spoil too much from there because the story gets really, really good. But if you want a character that holds nothing back, is not afraid to kill people if they threaten him, and a pretty decent world building, you're definitely going to want to check this one out. It's not too often that you see a main character killing other people if they threaten his life. Instead, usually they just let him go with a stern warning. But no, our main character in this one gets some shit done. Next up, we have Listen to My Young Lady Story, Villainess Conquest Record. This one is one of those isekais where the main character gets isekai'd into a video game where there's a villainess and it's kind of like a romance kind of thing. But he does not get isekai'd as the main character or as, you know, like one of the supporting characters. He gets isekai'd as like the support to a supporting character. He is the villainess's butler, and because his memories from his previous world and the new world kind of collide and form into one, he is still deeply attached to the Villainess. And the Villainess is not a very good person. She plays her role very, very well. To everybody else, even the main character at points, she's a huge piece of shit. But they do it in such a really good way that you kind of can't help but like her. Now, unfortunately, there's only like 4 chapters out right now, but every chapter that I've read has been really, really good. And it kind of seems like they're hinting at there being another reincarnator in this world. And it kind of seems like the story might be heading into this direction where him and the Villainess try to differ how the story would play out, while you have a different reincarnator actually being the heroine trying to play out the story as it should be. So it seems like we might have 2 or maybe even more isekai people in this new world trying to figure out how they can manipulate the story in their own way. Like I said, there's only 4 chapters, but so far every chapter has been a really, really good one. And if you like Villainess isekais, this one is a definite must read. The last manga that I have for you guys is my S-rank party fired me for being a cursed artificer. I could only make cursed items, but they're artifact class. This isn't necessarily an isekai. I know, wait, hang on, let me explain. Nobody is getting hit by Truck-kun and getting isekai'd into another world. But besides that, it has all of the other standard isekai things. Levels, parties, fantasy worlds, ventures guilds, all the normal isekai stuff besides somebody getting hit by a truck. And plus, this manga was so good that I just had to put it on this list. Our main character starts off in an S-class party, and due to the plot needing to be moved forward, everybody's a huge dick and they kick him out. But little did they know, he was secretly carrying the S-class party because he could make some dope-ass cursed items that had so many good positives and very little negatives that he could single-handedly level up an entire party and make them like godlike. But again, because of plot reasons, they kick him out and he's on his own. And he decides that he's going to live how he wants to live. He's going to try to sell his cursed items. He's going to do whatever he wants. He's going to go on adventures by himself because he's never really done it solo. He's going to be him and live it up La Vida Loca. And that's where the story progresses on from there. He gets a big boobed sidekick who they both start to slowly develop feelings for each other. And the best part is the main character isn't really like skittish around women. He actually behaves like a normal human being. And throughout the rest of the story, he gets in a lot of different fights and uses many different cursed items, which is really, really cool. Getting to see all of the different cursed items and their multiple different effects, which makes for some very unique fight scenes and different scenarios. And as the story keeps on progressing, he slowly gets intertwined with bigger and bigger things. And that's where I'll leave it for now because you guys definitely need to check this one out. It's a very, very good read that I would definitely recommend. And again, I'm sorry it's not an isekai, but hey, it's close enough. So that is going to be this list. Hopefully you guys found some new isekai mangas to read. I always try to pick lesser known mangas that I think are actually really, really good. I read every single one, so it's not just like I'm reading the cliff notes and giving them to you guys. So check them out. All these names will be down there below in the description. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.